Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would give my little analysis, and I thought that I would review this little video that I thought would be very particularly interesting. Of course, for those of you that don't pay attention to boxing or are not aware of the up and coming card that's going to be happening on May 2nd, which I believe is going to be happening now here in a couple of weeks, there's going to be a very big card happening in New York, I believe, in Times Square. And of course, this is going to be a great triple header. I believe the card is called Triple Fury or whatever it may be called. I'm not necessarily sure. But this card is really interesting for a multitude of reasons. Now, I've already stated that in my personal view, that all these fights that, just in my view, this is pretty much one of those fight cards to where they really love to set up and say that, oh, these guys, it's a real 50-50 fight, or, it's a real live underdog within this fight. But really, for anyone that really pays attention to boxing, there's a pretty clear set winner for each and every single one of these fights. Besides one fight, of course, being that of the Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barbosa Jr. fight. And even that fight, more than likely, there is going to be a clear favorite, at least of who should win the fight. But the point being is this, all these fights are very particularly interesting because I believe that all these fighters either have been former champions or have championship level potential, like that of a Arnold Barbosa Jr. And on top of that, they all have their interesting, unique personalities. And of course, when you talk about the triple header, the reason why it's such an important and interesting triple header is because all three of the main fighters that we're going to be watching, with Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Teofimo Lopez, they're kind of connected to each other in terms of their careers and in terms of 140-pound supremacy. All those guys are kind of big dogs at the 140-pound weight class at the current moment in time. Of course, we know that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fought last year, and Ryan Garcia got the victory, but of course it was overturned because he was caught on certain performance-enhancing drugs. I believe Osterine, whatever it was called, but if I'm wrong about that, someone correct me. Anyways, Ring Magazine or Turkey Alashi, whoever, ended up, comprising this, they had all the fighters on the triple header. So all six fighters, who were involved in that triple header, they all had them sit down and kind of talk about the up and coming fights and maybe what their personal plan was, or what they personally think about the up and coming fight. Now, of course, their personal plan, they're not going to reveal their whole game plan, but they may maybe talk a little bit about what they think about the other fighter and what maybe makes that fighter different. And within that, I'm also going to give my analysis on who I believe is going to win the fights and why. But anyways, let's get into it. Let's see what the gentlemen have to say.
Hello, I'm Todd Grisham, and welcome to the Ring Magazine Triple Header Roundtable as we count down the days to May the 2nd and the first ever boxing card in the history of Times Square. And that's where we are right now. And of course, that fight is brought to you by the Ring Magazine, as well as being powered by SNK and their new video game, Fatal Fury, City of Wolves, which is available on pre-order now on PS5, Xbox, and Steam. Look at the American talent we have here. Three main events all in one. We've got Haney versus Ramirez, Teofimo Lopez, Barbosa.
What the fuck is up with Teofimo Lopez? Like, this man has been dressing overall like he should be on like a cheap cast listing of an Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Jr. and of course Ryan Garcia versus Romero. Teofimo decided not to wear a shirt despite it being 49 degrees.
Motherfucker looks like he could be a part of the movie Waterboy all the way back in the 90s with Adam Sandler. What the hell is going on?
How are you feeling over there right now?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling warm, actually, surprisingly. And I'm just excited to be here amongst all these great former and world champions, man, here in beautiful New York City.
Well, you're fighting a guy who's certainly been overlooked, maybe disrespected to some degree. And Barbosa Jr., you were an underdog against Ramirez, a bigger underdog against Jack Catterall. You went to the UK and won that fight. An even bigger underdog, May 2nd, to Teofimo Lopez. How do you feel about the lack?
I'm going to be very interested to see how that fight ends up turning out. Arnold Barbosa, of course, certain people would label him as disrespected or very underrated. Arnold Barbosa, he's kind of one of those fighters or one of those athletes to where when you take a look at him, he's a guy that definitely can be disrespected or underrated to a certain degree. But I think most people realize that more than likely that once he finally steps up against the creme de la creme, he's probably more than likely not going to win the fight. Now, who do I mean by creme de la creme? I mean guys like Devin Haney, guys like Teofimo Lopez, guys like Ryan Garcia, guys like that. Guys that have, such a great advantage usually over their opponents, at least in terms of A-grade level talent, that he's more than likely not going to beat those guys. And there's an athlete like that, in every single sport. Like if you were to talk about that of NBA basketball, like many people take a look at, Damian Lillard or Jimmy Butler, for example, and they say that those guys are majorly disrespected or that those guys are majorly underrated. But those guys are never going to be the Steph Currys or the LeBron James or the Kevin Durant or the Nikola Jokic's or the Giannis Antetokounmpos. They're never going to be those guys of the league. The Kevin Durant's, the Kawhi Leonard's. They're never going to be that guy. Now, they may be able to win certain favorable matchups against other teams that, might be 50-50. Like, if you remember Damian Lillard, he was able to still beat a very talented Denver Nuggets team, I believe, in a 7-game series. And, of course, he was also able to beat the OKC Thunder, led by that of Russell Westbrook and that of Paul George. But then when it came to real championship level time, he wasn't able to get past Stephen Curry. In fact, he got lit up in that series. Not to digress too much, but, that's kind of what Arnold Barbosa, that's what he kind of reminds me of. He's a guy that can win some of the, very decent matchups that are kind of 50-50, like against Jack Catterall or maybe against someone like a Liam Paro or, maybe even someone like a Teofimo, but I don't see his ceiling going much higher than that. There's just not much about Arnold Barbosa, in my view, that really sticks off the page. He's a very good boxer. He's someone that, is a very decent boxer, but in terms of all-around athleticism, I wouldn't really state that he's the most impressive boxer. And I also wouldn't state that he's someone that, in my view, in terms of all-around skill set, I wouldn't really state that he's exceptionally great there either. I think that he's very good for what he does, and maybe he's around an A- level fighter. This certainly is a very big fight, and it's a very interesting fight. It's probably the closest fight on the card, in my view, because not only is Arnold Barbosa undefeated, but on top of that, Teofimo Lopez is a guy that, although he's a decently great fighter, he has not really looked that great within most recent years. And even he, will kind of tell you that, even he has kind of wondered if he still has it as a fighter. We've seen that against Jermaine Ortiz. We've seen it against Sandor Martin. We've seen it against certain other fighters. Now, the thing that I will state is this. I'm not really quite sure if Arnold Barbosa, I don't think that he really has that type of style. I think Arnold Barbosa is a guy that wants to get you with accuracy and kind of wants to get you with his jab and, over time kind of wants to, outpeck you or kind of out-counter you, by pressuring you a little bit. And that can be a little bit dangerous because you could be falling right into Teofimo Lopez's game plan. Now, I've seen Arnold Barbosa also fight on the back foot. And I'm not stating that to beat Teofimo Lopez, that you always have to be on the back foot necessarily, maybe, but he is going to have to mix up his style a little bit. And I'm going to be very interested to see how he performs against Teofimo Lopez.
Perhaps of respect that you're getting right now.
Oh, man, I wouldn't have it any other way. I've been disrespected my whole career. I've been the underdog my whole career, even when I was a favorite. So I'm looking forward to this fight, man. Shutting down Times Square or something.
You've been the underdog for your whole entire career, even when you were the favorite? I'm not sure if that really makes much sense. But maybe the man's just talking about even when he was the favorite by the odds, that certain people underestimated him. Maybe that's just what he was trying to say.
Historic, something for my kids to see, some of my grandkids, hopefully, and history's going to be made.
You already been talking smack with Teofimo Lopez. I don't think you have any other choice because he's going to talk it to you. But you said he has a lot of feminine tendencies. What did you mean by that?
I just think he has like a female, man. Like, he wants all the attention all the time. He wants, he's...
Okay, Shakur.
So he, he is who he is, man. You know what I mean? And just a clown to me, man. He's a clown to me, man.
Yeah, I need feminine energy, though, man. Around a lot of women,
get smack around, so it's just, it's funny.
There's no offense against Teofimo Lopez, but there are certain people that try to talk trash, and they're just not particularly witty. They're not particularly intelligent in that area. They just come across as brash or kind of like a clown. There are just certain people that are like that. Teofimo Lopez is more like an Adrian Broner than what he really is, someone like a Conor McGregor or a Muhammad Ali or someone like that. There's certain boxers or there's certain people that try to be something in terms of a character that they're not. Teofimo Lopez, of course, comes, I believe, from Brooklyn, New York. And one thing you notice about a lot of New York people, especially if you've ever met them, is that they just love to talk shit. Like, New Yorkers just talk to talk. That's the thing about them. But Teofimo Lopez, you can tell that he comes from that environment because in New York, people pretty much just talk shit to talk shit. Like, they don't even want you to get a word in. They just always want to make you think that they got one up on you. Even if they're not particularly witty, they're always going to say something, to maybe kind of piss you off or let you know that you didn't affect them, which of course can somewhat get in the mind of his opponent. Will it work on Barbosa Jr.? I'm not necessarily sure. But I can understand why so many people don't necessarily have a liking towards Teofimo Lopez, because certain people, they may have a certain respect for you if you come across as, witty or smart in terms of your trash talk, even if you do tend to go a bit far sometimes, like a Muhammad Ali or that of a Conor McGregor. Like, when you talk about those two guys, they were very quick-witted. They were guys that were kind of always on their toes and always on their feet, not just in terms of the ring, but also in terms of course, their trash talk. Of course, talking about in this instance, and they were just very quick-witted, quick-minded. Teofimo Lopez is just a guy that he comes across as a little bit more brash and more of a clown, in my view, and just trying to get, overall, always trying to piss you off than what he really does is particularly witty, but that's just my take.
Love the ladies, man.
How good do you think he is? Is he going to pose some problems for you May 2nd?
Every fighter that comes in with Teofimo going to do something, you know what I'm saying? But we ain't worried about that. What we mostly focus on is us. We are us. We're here to take over and Times Square take over. We got a great card overall, man. This is this is a triple header. This is main events anywhere possibly. And for everybody, I'm excited, truthfully. Truthfully excited. I can't believe I'm here, man. Like, you pinched me, man. We actually all come from, the same class, other than these two old heads. But, we all come from the same class. This is pretty awesome, man. And no disrespect, man. You guys got us before we did. But, that's pretty dope to really be out here and we're going to stage in front of where they ball drop. I'm on my fabulous shit.
Yeah, well, hey, Ryan, you're back in New York City again, the same place you fought your last fight against Devin Haney. You said earlier today during the press conference that you're a changed person, a changed fighter than you were last year. What do you mean by that?
No, I'm just saying that was towards the the outside of the ring. Just struggling with I was struggling with drink.
And what that also is, you someone admitting, Mr. Ryan Garcia, is that you willingly took the steroids. It is what it is. Ryan Garcia tried to go on this whole bullshit of, I don't know how it got in my system. I don't know how it's this. I don't know how it's that. But then apparently, all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere and says, oh, well, I'm clean now. That's how you know someone is full of shit. When their story contradicts so much, it doesn't even make any sense.
And smoking and things that I got into that had a real hold on me. But that's what I was speaking to.
Devin, you believe that he's a different person now, or is he's putting up a facade?
I mean, he seems like a changed person.
Awesome. And
now, maybe overall that could be Ryan Garcia, maybe not fully admitting overall to the steroid allegation, but, overall, Ryan Garcia, with what he said about I'm a clean fighter now and all sort of stuff, Ryan Garcia, just in my personal view, he knew it. He knowingly took steroids.
I know if you win your fight, you'll get a rematch with Ryan. How do you feel about rewarding him with another fight? Afterwards, I remember you saying at some point you didn't think you'd maybe ever give him another chance against you.
No, I mean, I think that's the only way. I think that's the proper way to do it was, to answer the question mark that's still there.
Mm-hmm. And what do you expect out of yourself when we see you May 2nd? Are you going to be a different fighter than what we're used to seeing?
Yeah, no, I faced adversity, and so now I think I'm an even better fighter. I think that,
Look at this fucking clown Teofimo Lopez. But Teofimo Lopez overall, what he's basically doing there is that he's trying to get in the head not only of his opponent, but possibly a Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez is trying to play chess right here. Because Teofimo Lopez realizes that, that he wants to get in the head of a Devin Haney, and that Devin Haney, that he might be a rival that he has to possibly face very soon.
It molded me to become a better version of myself, and I will show it on May 2nd.
And Jose Ramirez, you got a tough task having to face Devin Haney. You're coming off a defeat in Riyadh against Barbosa. What went wrong that night, and what are we going to see from you against Devin Haney?
Yeah, I was just a little unmotivated. It was I've been at 140 for a long time, and I think it took a big toll. But my hats off to Barbosa. He's a great fighter, and I'm sure he'll do well May 2nd. As for me, I've been a disciplined fighter all my life. I've been doing this since the age of 8. I'm 32 years old. I was a 2012.
Right, but just because you're a disciplined fighter doesn't necessarily mean that you're the most skilled of fighters. It's no offense against the people that have so far predicted Jose Ramirez to be Devin Haney, but all I'm hearing about is how disciplined he is and how big he is and how strong he is. Right, but what has he really improved on in terms of his game? Has he really done some major strides in terms of really improving his skill set and trying to become a new fighter?
Olympian, a world champion, and a unified world champion for a reason. I know what it takes to go out there and be a part of the big fights. And I'm excited about this one. Putting those extra pounds. I can really see myself be more agile on my feet. More light and more energetic.
Well, at least overall, you said that you were trying to change something, but I need to see it to believe it.
Ooh, a parachute.
Who's a tougher fight for you? The fight you just had with Barbosa or the fight with Devin Haney?
Man, honestly, that's not a right question to ask. Everybody's different. I appreciate both fighters. And I respect both fighters, both great fighters, and it's an honor for me to be, stepping foot in the ring with all those guys. So, that's the way I see it.
Rolly, we haven't heard from you yet. I know you got plenty to say.
Which is a very good answer by that of a Jose Ramirez. But just in my personal view, who do I believe is the tougher fight for him? I believe that more than likely it is going to be Devin Haney. To be honest with you, I think that Devin Haney is just a completely wrong type of style for Jose Ramirez to really fight. He's someone that can be very quick on his feet. Doesn't always have the best of feet, but he can be very quick on his feet. He's someone that, throws a lot of volume. He throws a lot of punches. He loves to use lateral movement, to kind of get around his opponent. He's not the most defensively responsible, but he is a guy, overall, once again, that knows how to use volume to the best of his degrees, at least at certain times. We'll see how he is after that Ryan Garcia fight. But once again, I don't really see how Jose Ramirez, if Devin Haney comes at least in good form, I don't see how Jose Ramirez really has a good chance.
One of the most high-profile fights you could possibly be in. You've been under bright lights before, but nothing like Times Square against someone like Ryan Garcia.
It's great to be out here. It's real great to be out here. Not right now, though. It's a little cold.
I was say right now.
Yeah, I'm used to. Vegas get cold too, but I don't like the cold.
Yeah.
Unlike Mr. Teofimo over there, who likes the cold.
Well, it's going to be warmer May 2nd. I don't know how much warmer. It will be warmer, but you've been under, like I said, the bright lights with.
I don't know if you know. New York in May is still cold.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not this cold.
I hope it's not this cold. For sure, I hope it's not this cold.
Well, you can't wear a jacket in the ring. You're going to have to look like Teofimo that night.
See, I'm already practicing.
You've been practicing.
Practicing.
How do you think Ryan stacks?
This motherfucker thinks he's so witty. Like, this guy. Like, once again, no offense against Teofimo Lopez, but this guy thinks like he's like Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor, and like any other trash talker. Is like, bro, you're not that guy. Sorry, but it is what it is.
Up with the guys you've been in the ring with before.
I mean, he's quick as shit. I mean, he can pop, he can crack, a lot of experience.
He definitely is, Mr. Romero. One thing I'm also going to state is this. Ryan Garcia is just as tall and just as lengthy as you, if not even a little bit more. That's also the major threat about Ryan Garcia. He's not just super quick and super powerful. He's also very tall and lengthy for that weight class. Like guys like Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney especially, they could easily fit at the welterweight class. Teofimo Lopez could probably fit at the welterweight class as well, but he has a little bit of a shorter reach than those guys.
He's been doing this for how old were you when you did this? Started?
7 years old.
Yeah, how many amateur fights you had?
A lot.
Yeah, you don't even know.
Couldn't even give him a confirmed answer. He said a lot.
How many? That's how many. It's a fuck. I mean, everybody here had a fucked up amateur. Well, I don't know about Barbosa, but I know for sure Ramirez and Teo and Dev have. So.
You know what I like about you? Like, of course you fight to win, but at the same time you're worried about entertaining. You're worried about making the fight exciting. Is that on the deck?
Rolly Romero overall, and this is why Rolly, and this is why I stated in my video the other day that, a fighter like Arnold Barbosa, for example, he doesn't really have a particular niche. If he does have a niche, then he possibly has the worst niche to possibly have, which is that one fighter that, certain people look at that's disrespected, but is never really expected to ever achieve super duper great things in a particular sport. He's a guy that, doesn't really appear to have a great amount of charisma, nor a super great personality. I mean, and that's not me, insulting him as a person, but when you talk about just as a character, because you do have to develop yourself a little bit as a character in terms of promoting yourself. Arnold Barbosa is just not a very particularly interesting character. Now, he's a better boxer, for example, than Rolly Romero by a decent amount in my personal view. But when you talk about Rolly Romero is a more interesting character. That's why there are certain fighters like Chael Sonnen or Ricardo Mayorga that can talk all this shit, or Paulie Malignaggi that can talk all this shit, and they get so many title fights, even though they never win any of them, usually. But they usually get the bigger fights because they know how to promote themselves, and they have a certain niche.
On the menu when you fight Ryan Garcia, is that what you're trying to
I
do?
don't think I worry about making the fight exciting. I think I'm just exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun, and we have a great card. We have a lot of dynamic and different personalities here, and it's a card that everybody's been waiting to see. A lot of these fights people have been waiting to see.
How confident are you that you can beat Ryan?
Oh, I mean, you should. I'm the most confident fighter in the damn world. I'm gonna always,
What's it take to beat him?
got to crack him just, right there.
I'm not really quite sure if that was Rolly's way of saying that Ryan Garcia has a weaker chin, but maybe not. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm reading too deep into that. But Rolly Romero, I mean, I'm just gonna take it at face value there, because Rolly Romero, he's a guy that, that's pretty much his game plan constantly, which is pretty much to just mainly hurt you as much as possible. Rolly Romero is not a super great boxer, but he definitely can punch like what a mule kicks. And even Gervonta Tank Davis said as of recent that he believes that Rolly Romero is the harder hitter, even compared to that of a Ryan Garcia.
You heard he already gave you a strategy.
Strategy is crazy, I mean, he's a strong fighter. He's he has power in his hands, so I got to be sharp the whole way through. And can't take nobody lightly. I don't. I think that his fights after Tank, I kind of see, he doesn't seem the same to me like I told him in the face-off, but he's going to have to prove me different. And
we'll see about that. I'm not really quite sure if Rolly Romero is the same fighter or not. I seen him in his latest fight, and he actually looked a little bit more improved. But the thing is about Rolly Romero is that he, everyone to a degree almost has somewhat of a ceiling to a degree. There is certain times, of course, where you have great athletes or very intelligent or very all-around skilled people to where they can always kind of surpass that ceiling to a certain degree. But when you talk about a fighter like a Rolly Romero, he has a certain ceiling, and his ceiling is not that high. He's a guy that, once again, is a spectacular athlete. He's relatively quick and very, very powerful. If he catches Ryan Garcia with the right punch, then, maybe, of course, something can happen. But, he's going to have to really catch him with the right shot, assuming, overall that if Rolly did win, that Ryan doesn't catch him first. Because it's not like Rolly Romero has a chin made out of granite. And that's not me stating that Rolly has a weak chin necessarily, because he took a lot of punishment against that of a Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And, of course, we all know that Gervonta Tank Davis, that he can punch very, very good. But the thing is that this fight is pretty much going to be about who can hit who first, and consistently. And who do I believe that more than likely is going to be? Ryan Garcia.
We'll see. Hey, Devin, I know that obviously the left hook was a problem for you against Ryan Garcia. What have you done to change your style?
Said Devin, we all know that the left hook was a problem for you in the in the Ryan Garcia fight. We all seen it. We all see how you got your ass whooped. What improvements have you made?
A little bit defensively, or have you?
No, I mean, I definitely
Fight back. Don't let him talk to you like that.
Shut up.
You see that? You see how Teofimo Lopez is trying to get in the in the head of Devin Haney. Once again, Teofimo Lopez, he might be trying to get in the head a little bit of Arnold Barbosa, but he's mainly trying to get in the head of Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez realizes that Devin Haney might be able to be a little bit of a threat a little bit later on. He's trying to get in Devin Haney's mind.
Oh, God damn, you don't stop talking.
Fuck no.
Agreed. The regular Bronx or Brooklyn New Yorker. I grew up around a ton of them. I'm not from New York, but I made certain friends from New York that were born there, and agreed. They all acted like Teofimo Lopez. Love them to death, but good Lord.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, in that fight, I showed flaws, and I went back to the drawing board, went back to the gym, and I made those corrections. So I look to show them on May 2nd.
Do you think going forward?
Well, good on you, Mr. Devin Haney, for at least admitting that you had certain flaws and not just completely blaming it on the steroids or certain other things. And I've already stated this. I believe that Devin Haney is more than likely on something as well. But anyway.
Or you're going to be a little more conservative, a little more defensive minded in your next fight?
No, I can't say that. Like I said, I had to correct the mistakes that I made. And I will show, the difference in May on May 2nd.
And what about?
Many people are predicting that Devin Haney, that he's not going to be the same after that Ryan Garcia fight. And it's very possible. But if there was a good matchup, once again, to market to the people that you were coming back against a former champion and really is secretly a perfect type of style for you to perform against, it's going to be Jose Ramirez if you're Devin Haney. Because Jose Ramirez does not move his head off the center line particularly well. He's not a guy that throws a great amount of volume. He tries to get you mainly with accuracy, especially by trapping you up against the ropes. He kind of will brawl with you a little bit. He's like an accurate brawler. He's a guy that is not particularly quick, both of foot or of hand speed. It just is what it is. And he's a guy that's a little bit on the downside of his career. So that's why I say, these promoters are trying to sell it as a fight that, of course, he's a live underdog. He's a former champion. But for those of us that know boxing, we know that Devin Haney, if he's anywhere near the approximation of a fighter that he was last year, after the Ryan Garcia loss, then, he's going to win this fight, more than likely with flying colors.
You obviously the left hook was the money shot, but outside of those rounds, you dropped him the left hook. He was winning most of, if not all, those rounds. You feel like you're getting a little too over reliant on that left hook?
No, I mean, I've always had that in my, arsenal since I was an amateur. Everybody knows it. So that's not going to go away. That's not going to change. I think that I had a fight in spots. Personally, I think that Devin's very sharp, but I try to, give him different looks to, catch him off balance, catch him on moments where, he's not prepared for. And I think I did that well.
No offense against you, Ryan Garcia, but to be quite honest with you, I didn't see that many different looks from that of Devin Haney. It's just, I think once Devin Haney was caught with that left hook, I think that he never really fully recovered from that, just in my personal view, But I mean, to a certain degree also, Devin Haney just has a huge problem with that punch because Devin Haney is not a guy that, once again, certain people predict that a fighter is very similar to this fighter just because they come from the same country or just because they may have a certain, complexion or something like that. So certain people may assume, like I said, for example, like Devin Haney, that he's similar to Floyd Mayweather. He's not. He's a fighter that, of course, will fight a little bit in that slick and on the back foot style at certain times, just like Mayweather would do in one of his more defensive performances. But Devin Haney is not a defensive master. When he throws his lead hand, his right hand completely pulls away from his face. And that's what Ryan Garcia was able to utilize, especially because he had around the same reach and the same, body dimensions of a Devin Haney. That's what he utilized in order to get that left hook over the top.
And, that's what gave me the victory. But he's not going to be easy in the rematch. I don't expect it. We're going to come to a good game.
I wouldn't expect that either. And good on you, Ryan Garcia, for looking a little bit ahead because you are going to have to give him different looks in that rematch. You're going to have to be a little bit of a different fighter because Devin Haney's going to come prepared.
Game plans, but I'm ready to prove that I could always beat him.
Teofimo, you seem to know all these guys pretty well. Other than yourself, who would you say is the best fighter on this dais right now?
The weather, man.
What's that?
The weather.
This dude is so fucking corny. That's the best fucking response that you could come up with. Jesus fucking Christ. Once again, this dude thinks he's Muhammad Ali and Conor McGregor. He's not.
Who has your respect to these guys?
No, hey, listen, anybody that steps in the ring, man, that's already big cojones right there. That's in that term, there's big balls in that. So I respect all of them that step in the ring. It's not easy. Any punch could really change our life, and then if anything can end our life. We just lost another fighter, I think this past weekend, and it just sucks that we get to see those things happen. But this is the price that we pay.
You said the takeover is taken over Times Square. What has to happen in that fight for you to consider a job well done against Barbosa? You got to stop him?
I think it's just having fun. I think my best I would say my best attributes are from having fun. Every time I'm just being free-spirited.
So basically, in my view, what that is Teofimo Lopez trying to state. Now, I don't know for sure because I'm not inside his mind. But Teofimo Lopez has at times let some of the pressure kind of get to him a little bit. Both him and Ryan Garcia. So Teofimo Lopez, like when he said that one thing about do I still got it, I think that he was letting the pressure from the fan base and from outside sources kind of get to him. So what Teofimo Lopez has kind of realized that, you have to keep your mind in a really laxed and controlled like state, but of course also kind of taking it seriously.
allow the canvas to speak to me when I'm there in the ring and just allow it to, instead of fighting against the current and just becoming one that night with boxing, however they want to portray it that night. You know, the hard work is in the gym, absolutely, and then we just got to have fun. You know, so for me, it's not really about just always knockouts. I mean, you got guys here in this, just here sitting with us that maybe they don't get the knockouts, but they're still entertaining in different ways. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really that. I don't necessarily got to put pressure on myself on that level. You know, it's
You see that? Teofimo Lopez brought up the pressure. I agree, overall with what he stated. And once again, for anyone that's been around boxing for a while, you don't always have to get the knockout to have a great performance. Now, there are, of course, certain fighters that, are expected to get a knockout in a particular performance if that guy is looked at as way below their class or something like that. That's a little bit understandable. But, this is not one of those fights. Arnold Barbosa is a live dog in this fight. He's not someone that I consider as an A+ level boxer, but he is someone that is dangerous.
just having fun.
And Teofimo, once again, has shown holes in his game.
Arnold, you've been able to get guys out of their rhythm. You did.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not really that. I don't necessarily got to put pressure on myself on that level. You know, it's just having fun.
Arnold, you've been able to get guys out of their rhythm. You did it in your last fight against Jack. You seem to do it against Jose as well. How do you get Teofimo Lopez out of his rhythm and beat him?
I think it's just being myself, being myself and fighting the way I fight. I feel like this fight is going to go at my pace like it's been going for all my career. I fight at my pace. I fight, do what I want to do in the ring. So as long as I'm myself.
It's going to be very interesting once again to see how Arnold Barbosa ends up reacting to Teofimo Lopez. But there's going to be moments to where he is going to have to take it to Teofimo Lopez, but also kind of use his feet, because if you just chase after Teofimo Lopez the whole entire time, he can take advantage of that. Teofimo is better on the back foot range than what he really is better on the front foot. That's what Teofimo prefers. He kind of prefers for you to chase him, and he prefers to set up traps within that. So Arnold Barbosa is going to have to be a little bit patient, but he's also going to have to use a great jab, maybe a stabbing jab to the body. On top of that, try to set up Teofimo Lopez with traps, with that of the jab. Use your feet to move in and out, and then on top of that, just make sure that you don't fall into some of Teofimo Lopez's traps. And if he does land that power on you early, you cannot get too discouraged, and that you are going to have to show Teofimo Lopez that you're willing to fight with him and that you're really willing to take it to him at certain times. Even if at times you do have to be on the front foot, but just don't run into anything particularly stupid. Don't go searching for the knockout, which I don't assume that Arnold Barbosa will, because he's a very patient fighter. But I am wondering how he's going to react to that power that Teofimo Lopez is going to throw. And I wonder if he's going to retreat, a little slightly as the fight goes along. But we'll see.
Man, I feel like I pulled this victory off, so I'm excited, man. Like I said, this is history right here with these guys, you know what I'm saying? So I know they're as excited as I am, so I'm ready to go.
Is he the best fighter you have faced, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You gotta give credit credit's due. He did.
No doubt about it. Teofimo Lopez is hands down the best fighter and the most accomplished fighter that he's ever fought.
This thing too. You know what I'm saying? But that's something I look up to. I like to fight to to a competition. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna level me up. In training camp, it's gonna level me up. Just my mindset. I'm ready to go.
And where do you rank him amongst your opponents?
It's the best fighter I'm about to face. It's what it is. Yeah. They put him in.
What the fuck does that even mean? He's the best fighter that I'm about to face. Apparently, I'm pretty sure what he means by that is that he's pretty much just another opponent, or that, overall, I treat every fight, equally, or that, you gotta take every fight seriously. Anyway.
You know what I mean?
Which, of course, Teofimo Lopez at times is not done, because we all know, in my personal view at least, he underestimated Kambosos a little bit there. But I don't assume that he's going to do that with an Arnold Barbosa. I think he realizes that Barbosa's a live dog.
Then we go in, then we define the odds, and we beat him. It's what it is. Never anything ever changed after that, So I look forward to a great fight.
I look forward to it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck you though.
Nah, fuck you, bitch.
Still don't like.
He said, "Fuck you though."
Yeah, I still don't like you either.
You know what I mean?
I still don't like you. Still, we would never even been friends in this lifetime. No lifetime.
Smiling.
Bro.
Ain't nobody smiling over
Bro,
here.
I don't
Tighten
give a
up.
fuck.
All right, now.
I don't give a
He's a little bit in Arnold Barbosa Jr.'s head. He's a little bit, overall in Arnold Barbosa Jr.'s head. And I think that, Arnold Barbosa, he stated all this stuff about him being excited in the press conference. I almost have to wonder if Teofimo Lopez stated something that got under his skin a little bit, and he thought that he was going to show him at one of these press conferences, and he just can't seem to get under Teofimo Lopez's skin. Like I said, Teofimo Lopez, in my view, he's not as witty as what he thinks that he is, but he's a better trash talker than debatably anyone else here.
Fuck. Yeah. I'm smiling because I'm going to beat the fuck out of you, bro. Like,
Other than maybe Rolly Romero.
straight up.
Shit, nah.
I feel you guys can give each other a hug after.
Yeah, shut up. There we go. Get him.
Man, what the f... Oh,
Get him.
man. Oh, my God, bro. There goes his pops, bro.
Hell
See,
yeah,
that's why he acts like a clown, because his dad's a clown. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, you know, his dad, you can see who raised him, bro. You know what I'm saying?
tell him. Get him.
So, you know what I mean?
Get
You look at my pops, you look at his pops, you see a difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Dynamic
I'm a
duo.
real man. My dad raised a
Dynamic
real
duo.
man. So don't have a real man
Dynamic
role
duo.
model. You know what I'm saying? So it's fucking clown
It's
show
what
right
we
with these
do.
guys. Everyone sitting here could agree with that.
Yeah,
So,
damn
it is
right.
what it is.
I'll say that. Yeah, we are. We're the biggest clowns in this shit. But that's what makes it that much greater. That's why I
Fucking red
train
nose
every
on
day.
and shit.
That's
Big
why I
ass
train
nose.
even more, because I know what it takes. All I gotta do is lose by you, because the odds already in your favor. Whether they want to put it in different atmosphere. I've been here. They gave me my first stain loss before any of y'all niggas. Before any
This
of
is your
y'all.
hometown. What you
It
mean?
never works that way, bro.
What the
It's
fuck?
business.
Oh
It's a
my
business,
God, bro.
Remember that. It's a business. They did it to me before.
Let me rewind that, actually. Let me see what Teofimo Lopez was talking about there in terms of a loss.
Yeah, that's why I
Fucking red
train
nose
every
on
day.
and shit.
That's
Big
why I
ass
train
nose.
even more, because I know what it takes. All I gotta do is lose by you, because the odds already in your favor. Whether they want to put it in different atmosphere. I've been here. They gave me my first stain loss before any of y'all niggas. Before any of
Well, Teofimo Lopez, you overall ended up giving your own loss. Because at the end of the day, Teofimo Lopez, you can tell that he's still making an excuse as to why he ended up losing that George Kambosos fight. Dude, you were not screwed in that fight. At the end of the day, George Kambosos deserved to win that fight. It was your hubris and your arrogance overall, thinking that you were just going to probably knock George Kambosos out within 5 to 6 rounds, you know, that ended up costing you that fight. It is what it is.
Your hometown. What you
It
mean?
never works that way, bro.
What the
It's
fuck?
business.
Oh
It's a
my
business,
God, bro.
Remember that. It's a business. They did it to me before any of you guys.
Did what? Did what to you?
The business aspect of boxing,
Oh,
all
come
right?
on, bro. Start with
So
this
my
shit.
thing is, I know what I'm coming up from. The fact that they were gonna give you and let you hold that belt right there,
Bro.
the Fatal Fury.
You're saying
You ain't even
Kambosos
that
didn't beat
shit.
your ass?
Bro, they what?
You're saying Kambosos didn't beat your ass?
No, he did not.
Oh my God.
Yes, he did, Teofimo. At least he beat you. It was a very tough and close fight, but he beat you.
Bro, what
He
you
did
talking
not.
about?
He didn't.
No.
Fuck, bro,
What did
you
he do?
fucking stupid.
I beat my own ass.
Oh my God.
Yes, you did beat your own ass, Teofimo Lopez, but at the end of the day, George Kambosos, you know, he ended up still beating you. This is what it is.
I hit himself in
Damn
the
right.
ring.
I did it to myself.
Oh man.
Absolutely. How many times they postponed that fight? How many times?
No, when y'all fought, did he
Yeah.
beat your ass when y'all
No,
fought?
he did not.
Okay.
I put him down in the 10th round with my conditions on top of that.
See, Teofimo Lopez is still mentioning his conditions. All this shit about how he allegedly had a bubble or air in his lung and that he could have died. All this bullshit. Regular New York excuse making bullshit.
And you shouldn't be talking right now about beating asses, because the man's to my left
I got
don't
my
whip
own.
that.
I got my O. Do you?
You got your O.
I got my O. Do you?
I got my ring. You got your ring.
Okay, I had a ring.
You had.
And I gave it up.
Plural.
And I
Had.
gave it up. Yeah,
Had.
and I get
Had.
that one. And I get that one.
This fucking Teofimo's such a moron. This fucking dude.
No,
I
had.
get that one too.
I have.
You have an O.
I have a have.
Okay then.
An O.
Kambosos fucked you
Who cares
up.
about O's?
Kambosos
Muhammad
fucked
Ali
you
had
up.
5 losses.
Kambosos
Sugar Ray
fucked you
Leonard had
up.
losses.
Kambosos fucked you up.
Shit. Ryan Garcia has losses. This
Kambosos
is his
fucked-
main event.
Kambosos fucked you up.
Shit. But why he ain't asking for another one? But I ain't even focused on that.
Teofimo is saying Ryan Garcia has losses, but he's the main event. Well, bro, why the fuck are you not the main event if you're allegedly the big cheese? Like, I mean, you know, I think I understand what Teofimo is saying. He's just trying to get under the skin of Devin Haney because Haney is a guy that, you know, overall, he's the guy that's third, you know, overall on this card, and both Teofimo and Ryan Garcia, you know, they both have losses. So I understand. Teofimo's trying to get under Devin Haney's skin here.
That guy's a sucker.
But Teofimo talks a whole lot of shit for not even being the main event of this card.
You is what I'm focused on. You heard? And you
Get your
gonna
ass
get
beat.
it.
You're gonna get your ass beat, dog.
All Diddy. No
There-
Diddy,
there-
all
there-
Diddy.
there's
You
a
gonna
reason-
get
What the fuck? The man said, "Oh, did he?" Come on, man. What the fuck is going on with Teofimo Lopez?
Why? There's a reason why your ass didn't want to fight. There's a reason why Top Rank kept your ass hidden like a little baby,
Nah,
bro.
man.
Get your ass out of here, man. Shut up.
Ryan, you heard Devin say basically, I still have an O. How do you feel about that last fight? How do you view the result and how it's affected your career?
I feel like I won the fight no matter what. I think that was set up, in case they lost. That's how I truly feel.
Ryan, bullshit. Just stop. At the end of the day, more than that, overall that you had certain things in your system. Just stop.
What rubs me the wrong way is how his brother knew that I was going to test
How could you set it up?
positive. How do you know? How do you know?
How could we set it up?
How do you know?
He said he had a
How do
dream.
you know, though? How do you
I have a whole bunch of excuse makers on this fucking table set. The fuck is going on, man?
know? Nobody wants to answer that question.
He didn't know. He didn't know.
I the shit that the fact that when you guys
Shut
aired
the
it out,
fuck
ESPN,
up.
you
Shut
was
the
with
fuck up.
ESPN. Where? In
Wait, what?
Connecticut?
Look at Jose Ramirez. He's like, man. He's like, why am I here overall with these fucking 4 bitches?
Was you
No,
at the
I
headquarters?
was in LA.
Jose Ramirez looks like that one boyfriend or husband that's getting chewed out at the mall by his wife.
Hey, what are you talking
You
about?
was in LA though, right?
I went
But
to
that was
headquarters
quick.
in LA. I
That
live
was
in
quick
LA.
for them to announce the
live in
fact that
LA.
he was popped on
I live in LA. I
Austrian.
went to the headquarters. You said I was in Connecticut. You don't know what you're talking about.
No matter what it was, headquarters,
No
I
matter what it
understand,
was,
but
you
the
don't know
main
what you're talking
headquarters in
about.
Connecticut.
I went to the one in LA.
I
What are
thought you was going to be in the
talking
main one. My bad.
about? No, I didn't. I
My
went to
bad.
one in LA.
Shit. No matter what the case, they aired it out the same fucking day. ESPN. And the only reason why ESPN now is putting the undisputed thing now is because they leaving Top Rank and we could sue them for defamation.
For what?
The fact that I became undisputed
You was
against
undisputed,
Lomachenko
too.
when
No,
it
you're
takes
delusional.
all.
You're delusional.
When it takes all.
You're delusional.
A lot of y'all could sue.
Teofimo is delusional. He definitely is. But to be honest with you, most fighters are, because they have to have a certain amount of delusion and have a great amount of belief within themselves. But Teofimo, certain things can be made, certain points could be made that he's on a whole nother level.
And I don't do it because I ain't this fuck.
But I don't think that Teofimo Lopez truly believes that, overall that he didn't lose to George Kambosos because he made 1,000,002 excuses. So whenever someone usually makes 1,000,002 excuses, they know that they actually lost. It just is what it is.
Delusional.
I ain't this sucker.
You're delusional.
This man sues. We don't.
Yo, I keep laughing at Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez has the most disgusted look on his face. He's like, can I get the fuck out of here?
Delusional.
We just take it to the chin. It is what it is, and we keep it moving. We keep it stepping. And you know what? By the grace of God that it be, that's why we're sitting here with all these great, wonderful champions. All right?
Well, Devin, how do you feel that you have a fight and there's already another fight booked, the rematch with Ryan? Does that bother you?
Nah, at the end of the day, my main focus is Ramirez because,
As it should be.
if I don't win that fight, then I don't get to the Ryan fight. So that's my main focus right
They'll
now.
find a way for
And
you.
then,
They'll find a way.
Shut the fuck
Jose, how do you view
up.
this? Do you view
all
this?
you do is ramble all day. That's all you do. That's all you do.
what are you
You're rambling
listening to,
all
bro?
day.
Jose, do you feel this like, you mentioned you've been struggling, you were focused your last. Do you view this as kind of your last chance
gotta listen
to make an impression? Hold on, Tio.
Yeah,
Let Jose talk for a second.
My bad,
Yeah, for
Champ.
sure.
My bad.
No, you're fine. I think I'm excited about this version of myself, Like I said, moving up to 147. And I can see myself being stronger, being more energetic. But it's crazy how Devin Haney has more respect for me than the media. I'm calling Brian Garcia Devin Haney too, and the fight hasn't even happened between me and Devin Haney.
Yeah.
And he's over here saying I had to go past Ramirez first before you guys even say it. You guys said it at the press conference a couple times.
Right, but listen here, Mr. Jose Ramirez. At the end of the day, the writing is on the wall. The thing is this. People understand that you're on the downturn of your career, and you more than likely, even at the best point in your career, never would have beaten a Devin Haney anyways. At the end of the day, you just ended up recently losing to Arnold Barbosa quite clearly, someone that just had a split decision against a Jack Catterall. No offense against you, Jose Ramirez, but you're not fooling anybody. It is what it is. You're on the downturn of your career, and you weren't ever really exceptionally talented anyway. So, it just is what it is.
I just hope if God willing everything goes well my way, May 2nd, we'll see if Ryan Garcia fights me.
But of course, that being stated, no one should ever completely underestimate their opponent, especially a former champion like that of a Jose Ramirez, because, of course, he is a guy that, definitely, if he hits you with the right shot, you never know.
Next, we'll see about that.
And Rolly, how do you feel that these guys have a fight set up and they're basically like, oh, well, he's going to
For the first time ever in the press conference, Rolly Romero has been the most silent out of all the fighters.
beat Rolly? He's probably going to beat Jose, and they're going to match up.
I feel out of all of us, I think we all have respect for Ramirez. I think it's the media that don't. We all have respect for him. But as far as like them, they could fight. I don't give a fuck. They could fight after. I hope you guys get that rematch, so you guys can settle whatever you guys got going on, But the only thing I give a fuck about is what me and Ryan got going on.
So you don't think if you beat Ryan Garcia that you're going to have you don't want Devin Haney next? You'll fight him and just say let them go.
I feel Devin deserves his rematch.
All right. Who do you think is going to win between Teofimo?
Rolly Romero is a guy that more than likely is going to get a lot of bigger fights in his career than what he actually deserves, because once again, he has a very, similar approach, kind of like a Chael Sonnen, Paulie Malignaggi, type of vibe, to where, he's always going to be entertaining because he's a great athlete. He can punch really hard. And then on top of that, you always just want to possibly see him in a fight because he talks so much shit. He may win some, he may lose some. He's probably going to lose 95% of them, but at least to the elite fighters. But, at least he has somewhat of a slight chance. And on top of that, he always brings a show.
Mo and Barbosa.
Bro, Barbosa hates his motherfuckers' guts. Oh, bro, I just want to see, bro, I hope they swing for the fences.
When you fought Jose, you didn't dislike him, but you didn't appreciate that he was kind of getting more of the spotlight than you were. You seem like you really just don't like Teofimo as a person. Am I reading that wrong?
Nah, man, you're reading it right. I have all the respect for Ramirez, man.
It's pretty fucking clear. Like this, it's not really that hard to understand. If you listen to overall what he said earlier, that this dude is a clown, and that take a look at him and his father, it's very obvious that he believes that Teofimo Lopez, that that he's kind of a joke and that he's a clown and that he's a little bit classless. It just is what it is.
He knows that. Me and him talked plenty of times before we fought. You know what I'm saying? But man, I just don't respect him and his pops. I just don't. As people, man, like I don't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying?
And I understand. At the end of the day, I grew up around people like that. So to me, it doesn't offend me that badly because I know that those people are more than likely just trying to get under your skin. That's just the New York way, just to talk because they never shut the fuck up most of the time. But, the thing is that I understand, especially a person from a different background and maybe more of a relaxed background, how that, of course, could get under your skin.
Not my style. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what it is.
Tio, he keeps bringing up you and your pops. Does your dad make things harder for you or easier for you when it comes to hyping up fights and performing in the ring?
He makes them a lot harder. Yeah, my father always been that way. I mean, he's called out Lomachenko before I even thought about Loma. So it's always been in some way, I trust my father. I know that he knows I could beat anybody. So it's really what it is. It just makes it better, though, too, at the same time. He's a hell of a trainer, I would say. So, he's made me tough. And I think that's what it is. I think the most important part of a father's job is to make their son or their children in general just tough in this world, thick-skinned. You got to.
I would somewhat agree, but it depends to what degree. Sometimes people can be a little bit too callous, almost to the point of abusiveness, and of course that's not going to lead you anywhere. But, to a degree, I agree with what Teofimo Lopez is saying. A father definitely, in my view, personally. Now, of course, I'm not a father, but, in my view, just in my personal view, what a father, of course, should teach his son, especially, of course, his wisdom, logic, and, teach him overall, how to spend his energy, how to not waste his time, and, of course, to accomplish certain things and maybe certain goals and steps on how to get there. And I agree, and, of course, on, how to be tough, in a world that a lot of times, oftentimes can be harsh.
Be mentally, physically, emotionally,
and not to crack under pressure, which of course, is a part of toughness.
Yeah, even with this in the boxing, I mean, he's always talked highly of me since a little kid. Even going through the national tournaments, the regional tournaments, from amateurs and everything. So, yeah, I know a lot of people don't like my father, and because of that, some things may not go my way. It's against all odds, though. This is what it is, and I think my father plays a big role in my life at that times, because of that. It lets me know that if I play that part of being nice with everybody and actually being engineered, absolutely I'll get my way, but that's not me. If you can't accept my father for who he is, then it's for my time to actually show everybody, you got to respect it.
All right, we're basically out of time, but I'll give everybody one last chance to say their piece. Devin, your final thoughts, 2 months and ticking before May 2nd. How you feeling? What do you think is going to happen on that night?
I see myself being victorious. I'm happy to be back in the ring. I can't wait. I can't wait to, show the world the new and improved Devin Haney. So tune in May 2nd.
Jose?
I'll be ready May 2nd. I'm excited about the show.
Arnold?
Oh man, tune in May 2nd. I'm fucking this guy up. I'm getting my respect.
Arnold Barbosa hates Teofimo so bad. Rolly's laughing because he knows that he's taking this super personal.
Yeah, man, beat his ass.
All right, yo, you know what time it is, man. It's a takeover, Times Square takeover. No matter what it is and how they say it, we make it exciting. We make it fun to watch, really. And every time Teofimo fights, it's a fight. You know what I mean? That's what everybody is here to do, is fight, but we make it look great and pretty. I'm so happy. I'm thankful to be here. May 2nd, why can't it be May 2nd tomorrow? Because we're ready now. So let's get it.
All right. Rolly, you've got Ryan Garcia, May 2nd. I know you've been wanting to fight him for a long time. It finally happens.
Yeah, long overdue, but I'm happy it's finally happening, and over here in Times Square, New York, on the biggest fight this year for sure.
Ryan, you always talk a lot of trash.
It's bad when Rolly Romero is in a room with dudes and he seems like the most gracious and humble one out of all of them.
But today you've been Mr. Gentleman. Can we get something out of you? What are you going to do to Rolly here in Times Square?
I plan to retire Rolly after this fight. I plan that he never steps in the ring again. I put him to sleep, and then we go after Devin Haney. That's what I plan to do.
All right, there you have it.
I ain't retiring.
I feel like you.
But you
we're
and Devin
gonna
can
retire.
fight after, but
Okay, we'll see. We'll
you
see.
gotta worry about me. But the best thing is, I know I'm gonna get the best Ryan Garcia on fight night. So there ain't no fucking excuses or anything.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
There you have it. We will see you.
That's one thing good about Rolly Romero. At least one thing that I see from him, and that's what the best trash talkers can usually do. They know how to not let the other guy get in their head.
May the 2nd, live from the first time ever in Times Square. It's a boxing match brought to you by The Ring. Hope you enjoyed the round table. We'll see you soon.
But anyways, that pretty much is about it for today. Who do I have personally winning the fights? I have that of Teofimo Lopez. I have that of Ryan Garcia. And I have that of Devin Haney. I believe that Devin Haney will win by unanimous decision. I think that Teofimo Lopez, I think that he will more than likely win by unanimous decision as well. And I think Ryan Garcia will win by knockout. But we'll see what happens. But anyways, that pretty much is about it for at least this little table roundup. We'll see what happens. But peace out for now.